Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again for another episode of Letters to God, the one show, maybe the only show that asks the question, is anybody out there? Well, we're going to find out this morning with some people who are always out there exploring the world and trying to find the good in what seems often a dark place. Dr. Trin, who's sitting in a not a very dark place. He's sitting in a bright car here this morning here.
Hey, good morning, Paul. And yeah, I'm actually sitting in my car. At least I'm not driving in my car.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And where are you, outside the offices of Alzheimer's OC over there, just waiting around? Everybody's eager and ready to go this morning here. Bring your guest in. Who'd you got? This is a special one for me. Go ahead.
Oh yes. This I'm bringing on a friend I've known for a long time, actually. Ever since you wore the hat at is it Concordia, right?
Yes.
Business school. Yes. Back then, and now have worn now is wearing another hat, which is a very significant hat and with a huge impact. Stephen Christensen, right, is here with us to speak about the world of children who need help.
Yes.
Foster children, children without parents, and with an organization called OLIVECREST here today.
Well, welcome,
Thank
sir.
you. Good morning.
Welcome, sir. Give us a quick overview of OLIVECREST for those that may not have known. I know you've been here a long time and do a lot of good work, and then I'm going to tell you my own story with OLIVECREST here, or at least the work that you do. So welcome, and tell us what you do.
Well, great. I am the Chief Development Officer at OLIVECREST. That's our short name. The original founding name in 1973 was OLIVECREST Foster Homes and Services for Abused Children. Founded right here in Orange County by Dr. Valor and Mrs. Valor. They saw a need. They had 4 girls that were foster girls that needed a place to live, and they took in 4 girls in 1973.
Wow.
And from that day till today, we're 2 years away from the 50th anniversary. We serve 4,000 children and families every day.
Wow. So I was told a long time ago that there are roughly 500,000 kids in the foster care system, kids we have intervened and removed from some abusive or horrible or neglectful or bad place. And half of these 500,000 kids are never going home to anybody because there's just no home for them. Is that true, or is it that bleak?
That is true. And the saddest part is, as the children get older, it's actually more and more difficult to find a foster parent.
Right.
Usually foster parents are looking for, under 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. But when they become teenagers, they will not have the mom and dad or foster parents that are so desperately needed in adolescence years, preparing them for adulthood.
And then what happens is, as I understand it, when they reach 18, they age out of the system, and they literally hand them a check for, I don't know, a couple $100 or $1,000 or something, and say, good luck, we tried to help, you're on your own.
That is the way the system works. Fortunately, there's been some modifications, and with us here at OLIVECREST, we have a transitional young adult housing program. So 18 to 24-year-olds live in apartments that they rent, that we work with them renting on. And they, in order to be in our program, must be either in a jobs skills training program or in an education program. And they're assigned case workers and people that work with them, mentor them, and equip them for success in life. So fortunately, we have this program. Now, the information is that if kids don't get into this program,
right,
60% are homeless within 6 months.
That's what I was going to say.
Wow.
You
Wow.
think of the irony of this. I mean, this really makes me angry, but I don't know the answer. You've intervened. The state, the county, somebody has intervened and removed these children for their own safety. But because we can't find them a home, we throw them back out on the street alone with no support, no family, no nothing. And to our big surprise, 60% of them get homeless, A lot of them turn to drugs or prostitution or all sorts of crime or other sorts. Not because they're bad kids, because they don't know what to do.
It is. It's the incarceration, the sex trafficking, human trafficking. These are all the issues that when you're 18 and maybe mentally you could still be 15 or 16 because you didn't have parental influence and people telling you right from wrong every day. And so you just fall prey to the streets. And the streets are very mean, and they really don't care about the young people. The
Your
streets
past,
care
yeah.
about.
They don't care about your past problems. I'm sorry your mom beat you up. I'm sorry your dad was a drug addict. I'm sorry your parents abandoned you. But, you get on with it. Well, I'll tell you why I know so much about this. Because I was a foster parent who adopted one of these kids out of the foster care system. My only daughter, Vanessa, was born in a tiny village in Mexico without running water and everything, brought into the country illegally. Yes, she's one of those illegal immigrants smuggled in and passed around different family members. Not good. Beat up, abused. When she came to this country, she was about 8. She thinks, she's not exactly sure, and didn't speak a word of English. And somebody along the way sent her to school, and the school quickly noticed she was all bruised up. She had broken ribs and everything, and because they were beating her up. And she was sort of like a slave. She did whatever they told her to do. And they quickly called the cops. Cops removed her, plopped her into a foster home, and thus began this 2 or 3 year journey of from one home to the next down in East LA until we stumbled upon her. We're good Irish Catholics. We had gone to church one day. We didn't have any children of our own, and heard this story of how many kids were missing. And I said to my wife, let's do something. And she said, well, we could have done something a long time ago. Why are we waiting now? We're like in our 40s, a little late. And I said, well, maybe better late than never. So we started the process up. We started under Fost Adopt, a new program in California here where you can foster. It's almost like try before you buy. I hate to say it that way, but you foster them. And these are kids that probably have very little chance of going back to anybody, so you're not running the risk that you're going to fall in love and then they'll reunite with their families. And so we became her foster adopt parent and quickly decided to adopt her, which took a couple years. Oh, my goodness. We'll talk about this process. No wonder there's not enough parents out there. It's a difficult, long road to take one of these kids home. And started this journey, which was the most difficult, most amazing, the most frustrating, the most interesting, the most rewarding thing I've ever done, because she knew nothing. We sent her I'll shut up in a second here after I wrap up the summary here, but we took her to school in nice middle-class suburbia down in South Orange County. She's now in about 6th grade, 7th grade, and she couldn't read or write, couldn't add 2 and 2. And because she was a wild child, she'd basically been raised by wolves in the woods. And the school said, what do you want us to do with this kid? She can't do anything. And I said, teach her. And we had to get in a big battle. We had to sue the school and get judges involved and everything because they didn't have any time, resources to do this, they said. And we got her into special needs, even though she didn't really have a special need other than the special circumstances she grew up in. And we were able to qualify her under post-traumatic stress. And that turned everything around. And those people were amazing. And she's with people banging their heads against the thing, or people with Down syndrome, or all these other things. And she suddenly found herself, the light bulb went on. Today she has a responsible job. She's married. I have 2 wonderful grandkids. And you would never know this horrible thing that she went through. But it was hard to find her. It was hard to adopt her. It was really hard to educate her. And she had to work hard too, because she gave up 100 times along the way. I'm dumb, I'm stupid, give up on me. And we wouldn't, and she wouldn't, and that's the story. So I'm really personally touched by what you do. I lived it here. And
it's a great story, and praise God that he moved your heart and your wife's heart. And we've got also an amazing program that we work with over 400 churches in bringing to their attention the opportunities for fostering and adopt, even temporary assistance to a program we have called Safe Families.
Yeah. So, again, I guess I having been on the other side of it, it is It is a wild journey, and it's a world most of us never see. We sweep it under the carpet. Somebody's taking care of these kids, good, and they don't really. The county, and I'm not putting any blame. They're overwhelmed. I get it, resources and people and stuff. Thank God for organizations like yours, because the county. I'll give you one classic example that kind of says it all. So when we decided we were going to adopt, and we were going to try and intervene and do something here. And I wish I could say it's because we were saintly people. We were also getting older, and I wanted to have a child, and I wanted to have grandkids, and oh my God, what was I thinking? Time's running out. So, there were certain selfish motivations in here too. And when we got into the system, I couldn't believe what it was like from top to bottom. I'll give you two stories, and then I'll shut up, and you can tell your stories of other people, but maybe this will open the conversation here. So one story. So, okay, make a good job. Got no criminal background. We've been together for 30 years or 20-something. I got a house. I'm thinking I'll have a kid by Tuesday. Okay, let's just go pick one out from the pound and take him home. And it was a year to find one. And people started looking at me like, what's wrong with you? What's your problem? Is there something we don't know about you or whatever here? And I'm thinking, okay, God, you said let's do this, and I don't see anything happening. So I tried to take matters into my own hands. We'd go to these adopt, what they call them, like adopt events at a park, and there's hundreds of kids running around. Oh, that was horrible. It's like going to the pound. And everybody, I hate to say it, everybody's chasing.
Wow.
There's a bunch of older white families like me chasing. Look, that one little white kid in the crowd there, everybody's chasing after him here. Nobody wants to go talk to the Hispanic and the African-American kids and stuff here. And because we want somebody that looks just like us. And then you'd walk up and you'd see they had little tags that said, well, they're coming 2s or 3s. And it's like, oh, no, we didn't want 2 of them. We only want one of them next. Or you'd see some little other code that would say, oh, this child suffers from something. And you're like, oh, I don't know. Can't we just find the nice little happy little orphan kid here? And it was horrible. So finally somebody said to me, this is the purpose of this show, you got to let go and let God. That was really hard. I'm a male. I'm a business owner. I'm going to take charge. I'm going to run this thing. We went and looked at books. We went to events. None of that worked. And finally, we just basically quit. And a couple months later, they said, we think we found one. And then the second story is this. So we looked at this little girl. She met our requirements. She didn't have any other siblings that we were tearing her apart. She hadn't exhibited any violence. A lot of these kids are violent, and we weren't sure we could handle that, particularly at our age. Understandably, they're violent or hangry or depressed or whatever. But the thing was, we didn't know she spoke English, and I don't speak Spanish. And we went to the county, and they said, well, we don't know. I don't know. Does she speak English? She had been through so many social workers and so many foster homes, nobody even knew really where she was. Talk about how these kids get lost in the system.
Yeah, well, and as you said, the government was never designed to raise children.
No.
It's not what they do.
No.
And so we're so thankful for the many people who, like yourself and your wife. I talked to a guy the other day. He and his wife, they have fostered, adopt 200 children.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
There are people like that are moved to do this stuff here.
Angel,
Well,
what an angel.
so how do you go find? So that was my journey, and it was an amazing one. We could talk forever. I'm endlessly telling people about these stories and the difficulties and challenges and everything here. But I understand why there's so few families. Then once we decided to adopt, the last part of the story is they put you through the ringer, because my wife had been divorced. Why were you divorced? What's going on? What's this credit, little bump in your credit there a couple years ago, Paul? What was the problem there? It's like, oh my God, it's none of your business. I'm here ready to take a kid. Well, we're not just giving them out, we're not giving them to anybody. And you got to run through. If everybody had to go through as much effort as we did, nobody'd have children. That's my contention. You don't just wake up and say, honey, let's have a kid. It was really hard, really difficult. And took a lot of support, integrating and understanding, and wow, it was a journey. So thank goodness for your organization like yours. I know there's Orangewood here in the county too. What do you do to help this whole process, to find people, to help them get through the process quicker and to make it work, make it stick, make a match?
Well, and your journey is a great story. Of course, when you work with the agencies, number one of paramount importance is no one wants to make the mistake of taking an abused or neglected or challenged child and removing them and then putting them in a home where the same situation. So I understand a bit of their due diligence and the fingerprinting and all of this. It's always hard that it does take so long. But they're always going to overly err on the side of caution and safety.
As they should. I got no complaint.
Right?
Yeah. But do the parents I didn't understand what I was stepping into. We made a leap of faith for ourselves and for somebody out there, and it was a lot harder, a lot longer, a lot more difficult than I think even we were. And they try and teach you along the way. They're pretty blunt along the way. I'll give you one of the things that they made you face is who will you take? What do you mean who I'll take? I'll take a kid. You want a blind kid? Well, not necessarily. How many of those you got? You want a kid with one arm? Well, not necessarily. You want a kid that has 3 siblings and we'll take them away from the other 2? No, not really. What else you got? Where's just the happy little, and I understand why there's an impulse. I'm going to say it bluntly, and I hope this doesn't offend you, but you don't want the broken children from somebody else that I'm going to try and fix. And so you're looking for that little baby that hasn't been damaged, that little orphan that's just waiting, little orphan Annie here or something. That doesn't exist in the system. But the good news is all of these kids are amazingly resilient. And no matter how difficult, damaged, whatever you think they are, it's incredible. They want a home and they will bounce back. They're the most resilient, tough kids I've ever seen in my life.
Well, you're right about the resiliency. It's really amazing. And what they really want is a forever family. They just want someone to love them, to care for them, to provide for them, to guide and direct them in the way they should go. And that's really what the kids want.
What are some volunteer opportunities for those who aren't necessarily looking to adopt, but to volunteer to help out?
Well, this is one of the most amazing programs that I mentioned earlier called Safe Families. And we have partnered, as I said, with about 400 churches. And a Safe Families program is a family that has been vetted, background checked, and trained almost as if they were going to be a foster family. They've been fingerprinted, certified, and they have come forward and volunteered to say, I will take a child for a short period of time that needs some help. It could be 1 week. The average length, I think, is about 6 or 8 weeks. But here's the situation that and we work with these families from the churches. But here's what happens. A single mom usually has a problem, and maybe she's living in her car with one child, or maybe she has to go have surgery for, in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. Maybe even she has to go to jail and has to do 30 days in the county jail for some reason, who knows what. The problem is she has nowhere for her child to go,
right?
Or 2 children. Now, in the old days, 50, 60 years ago, when a mom had problems, they would usually go to aunt's or to grandma's house for a week or a month or something. But what we're finding is many of these, and again, mostly single moms, are isolated. They don't have an aunt or grandma to turn to take the kids. So what happens is, if they have to go in somewhere, the county will come along and take the child and put them into a county home for 30 days, and they're quote unquote now in the system.
Yes.
Okay. So the alternative to this is what we call at OLIVECREST our Safe Families program, which is a nationwide program. And these are parents who say, I will help out this mom, send the kid to me. Okay, there's some paperwork, but you're not in the government agency. You're not in some bureaucracy. These people are trained and vetted, as I said, and they will take them home. The mother can call and visit every day, do whatever they want. Maybe the mom is in a job training program, or she's living in a bad hotel and doesn't want the kids there while she gets a job. And so then this family that comes out of a church background takes the kids, and then also begins to become a mentor and a role model for the mom who knows nobody in town.
Right.
The next thing that happens is then the people in the church. So let's say you took a kid in and it's a 1-year-old. Well, now you need a crib or you need a stroller and you don't have one. And then the people in the church, they put out the word, who's got a stroller, who's got this, that. And now people in the church start coming around and helping to equip you with baby clothes and other things that you need. And this whole sort of small community comes around you who are now a safe family. The child is in great custody. And then the mother's situation ends. The surgery is over. She found a job. She's no longer homeless. Maybe she's finished her 2 weeks in county jail. And then they come and they pick up their daughter or son again, and they're reunited. They never really were separated. It's almost like grandma's house.
Yeah.
And now, though, that this family and the parent have become friends. And now they have somebody they can call on when something comes up. There's somebody there. So we keep them out of the government system only because the government wasn't designed to raise kids. It's not what they do best. And who wants to get into that system? And then, you got a mark and you got a label and you're one of these and whatever, and you go to some county facility or something. I mean, thank goodness we have the county facilities. Yes, they're needed and welcomed, and we're thankful for them. But not everybody needs to turn to them. And so it's people helping people. It's brothers and sisters taking care of their fellow mankind. And this is the way it was in the old days,
That's amazing. Is that the same? Is this a similar relationship? I know that the church I go to, which is Refuge, Calvary in Huntington Beach, this is how we reconnected. They announced during church service of their relationship with OLIVECREST. And so I was like, hey, I know OLIVECREST and I know Stephen. And so I sent you a text. But I'm curious what kind of relationship the church has with the organization.
So every church relationship is different. Some churches want to grow their foster and prevention of child abuse ministries, and they want us to come in and help train some of the parents. So we do workshops, seminars. And there's just a variety of things that we do. Some of them want to do, backpack drives for back to school supplies, or Christmas time. We have a program we call Be the Miracle, where companies and individuals can sponsor gifts for the children. And so we have those, and some people want to do some mentoring, but a lot of times companies will participate in our outreach, as I say, either Be the Miracle, a toy drive, or back to school to do backpack drives and things of this nature. So we're thankful for that.
Tell us some of the stories of some of the kids. I told you my story. What do you see? Give us some range. You don't have to, obviously, no names, but give us the kind of kids that are coming into the system that you're coming across. What's their situation? What brings them in?
Yeah, it's a terrible situation. We have probably 75% are children of background of either brown or black, Hispanic or African American. But we also have the Anglos. It's abuse doesn't know any race or ethnicity.
No, that's the truth.
Dumb people do dumb things. We're not perfect people. We're sinners, and sin enters the world so easily. But I got one story that stands out. I work with this family even today. But here's a young girl. She's 13 years old, from Los Angeles, and the mother says, let's go to the beach today. Okay, we're going to go to the beach. A single mom. This one was Hispanic. So they go to the beach and they walk. The girl tells the story. It's on our YouTube channel, the video. She said she walked, it seemed like 20 miles to Huntington Beach. And they're at the beach. So now they're at the beach, the mom and the daughter. And the mom says, I need to use the restroom. Wait here, I'll be right back. So the mom goes to use the restroom. Well, 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Mom never comes back. And now this 13-year-old is kind of worried what happened to mom. So she goes to the lifeguard tower. And she says, I came here with my mom. She went to the restroom. She's never come back. I don't know. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
So the lifeguard says, okay, sit here, stay here, describe your mom. What was she wearing? All of this. And, you know, in Huntington Beach, they got the rangers, you know, with the truck, you
Yeah.
know, the
Right.
park rangers.
Yeah.
Well, they go out looking for the mom. Sure enough, they see the mom walking along, you know, the walkway where people ride their bikes there on the way to leave the park. And the rangers said, "Oh, we have somebody that is looking for you. Will you come with us? We want to bring you back to this girl, your daughter, who you left at the beach." So they drive the lady over to see the daughter, and the daughter says, "Yeah, that's my mom, and thank you for bringing her back." Except that's not what the mom said. The mom said, "I don't know you.
What?
This kid is lying.
Oh my
I have no
goodness.
idea who this kid is." And so, of course, the police, the ranger, you know, says, "Okay, has to let the mom go," and the mom walks away. And here's this girl at 13 with the lifeguard tower, who was just left at Huntington Beach. Well, so she goes into county care, gets placed in the foster home, and abuse continued. Moved her to her second home, abuse continued. Now, it's not only sexual abuse, you know, you have psychological abuse, emotional abuse, all of these other types of things.
Right.
The third time she was placed in a foster home that was through foster parents trained and came in through the OLIVECREST system. Today, little Angie, she is now a sophomore in high school. She was first fostered temporarily, then the mom and dad adopted her. I think third or fourth that they have adopted. She's a sophomore in high school. It's amazing when you talk to her how resilient she is and what she's been through, but she's just the kindest, sweetest young lady. She taught herself to play the guitar, the ukulele. She was just on American Idol.
Wow.
She was on American Idol. She was a
Yeah,
contestant.
Wow.
she didn't make it all the way through. They told
Yeah.
her that just an amazing story, that maybe, you know, work a little bit more, maybe
Mhm.
come back next year or two. She wants to study music. She wants to go to a music school, whether that's USC or another school. Just a great, but she tells the story herself. It's just amazing. So this is just one example. We have, you know, two, a brother and a sister, 8 years old and 5 years old in East LA, that the parents would leave them home alone, and the older sister had to get powdered milk and try to find food for the brother. I mean, you just cannot believe the situations that happen daily in the
Daily.
lives of these kids.
And,
But
and I'll share one quick thing. So my daughter was embarrassed and would never tell anybody about her first 8 years of neglect, abuse, abandonment, all these things that you're describing there. And I said, why? It gave you such power. It gave you such. I know it was horrible, but you know what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as they say. And I said, I can't imagine myself being dropped into Mexico at 8 with no parents and trying to figure it out. I can't imagine what would happen if my mother suddenly walked up to me in the police and said, I don't know him, and walks away. Now, from that moment, I'm alone. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't prepared for it. How do you emotionally handle that? How do you come to terms with that in your head ever? All of those things you would think would just destroy somebody, and could, and maybe do in some cases, but these kids just are tough and strong in ways they don't fully understand, right?
Yeah, I guess there's maybe in all of us an innate survivor instinct, you know, that kicks in. I don't know, but it's amazing what they go through and how they come out.
So
Many
talk
times
talk
stronger.
about the other family. I told you my story. Who else stumbles in to be a thing? Are they just all called by God? Are they, I don't know. You know, I hate to say it, some
Wow.
foster families do it for the money, but maybe I don't know who is out there fostering, helping these kids. Give me a profile. I suspect most of them are good people and trying to do what they can.
Yeah, and some might have, you know, one child, and you know, they have room in their heart, in their
Mhm.
mind, in their house for another
Wow.
child, or they have the financial resources. Um, you know, again, it's sort of it's a biblical mandate to take care of the widows and the orphans, and
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
have quite enough. The majority come from a faith background, that this is important to them to care for others and to share and so forth. Usually, you know, husband and wife, typical profile is someone, a family that's working and wants to help make life better for another person. They've been blessed in some way, and they want to reach out and help.
We went through Catholic Social Services, which worked with the county to find us some of the various counties. LA, we said we'd go like in a 3-county region. I can't say enough good things, and I suspect the same thing I've heard about your organization, to support the family and the kids. This is a very exciting but difficult transition to suddenly integrate kids into a family. Maybe we didn't have other children, but some of these foster parents, as we met, other ones did have biological children, and now you're bringing in a brother and sister suddenly at 12, at 10, at 8 into the home. Can you imagine, Dr. Trin, if you walked home to your kids? I've met them. They're nice kids. They're really good kids, and they'd probably be open to it. But if they're kids, and all of a sudden this is your brother, this is your sister.
I would love to look for opportunities where high schoolers and college students can be involved in either being a big brother, big sister, or mentor somehow with the kids in OLIVECREST. I don't know if that exists today, because I'm sure a lot of these kids aren't there long term. They get adopted, hopefully, or things of that sort. But as you know, I run a Tongue Out, which is our medical missions group. So every year we're in Vietnam, we're in Haiti, we're in Peru. We take doctors, nurses, and a whole bunch of students around the world. And everywhere we go, we are at orphanages to hug the kids, spend time with them, show them that God loves them, and arts and crafts and all that. But boy, I'm just realizing we can do this all at home. There's
an amazing number of kids. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I was told it was like 500,000, and half of them ain't going anywhere, particularly the age, because suddenly they're damaged goods. Suddenly people perceive that it's a more difficult challenge, and maybe it is. But there is everybody, I can just tell you, wants the little baby that's been minimally impacted. And the longer these kids are in the system, the less marketable they are.
Well, and Dr. Chen, you mentioned the high school kids. We have many high school partnerships. I think of Orange Lutheran High School in the city of Orange, where their kids actually organize their own backpack drive and will put together 200 to 300 backpacks for kids of different ages, and then deliver them to the kids. They'll bring the backpacks from the high school to the church, and then on a Sunday the kids and families will come in and pick up their backpacks. They do hygiene drives. They just do so many things. High school kids, that fortunately this young generation, I think, understands philanthropy, understands social entrepreneurship and helping. Many of them realize that they are blessed beyond what so many don't have. And so high school kids today, that whether it's they're cleaning the beach and the ocean, or helping right, foster and abused kids, so we have a lot of high school kids that do quite a bit to try to make.
Can I interject one other thing here? I'm sorry, I keep giving my own stories here, but I was shocked at the need for backpacks, because think about it, that little girl at the beach, Angie, she has nothing with her. She doesn't get to go home. The cops don't drive her home and say, well, let's go pick up your stuff. From that moment, she's in the system with whatever she's got on. And I don't think they ever get to go back and reclaim whatever they had, maybe under police supervision or something in some cases. But so that moment, whatever you got on, that's what you got.
Yeah.
And you're in the system from that hour, you got nothing. Then what happens is you go from home to home, you have nothing. And I remember Vanessa, when she came with us, we collected all her stuff from her thing, which wasn't much, a couple little dolls, a couple little clothes she had and everything. And they put it in a garbage bag. Yep. They put it in a black garbage bag. And I said, this is horrible. And they said, this is what we do with all the kids. These kids don't have suitcases. They don't have backpacks. So what does it tell you about your life that everything you own is in a garbage bag?
So we have a ministry of a Suitcase ministry, where we actually provide these kids with suitcases, because you're right, it's the picture of two black bags and a kid walking from one house to the next.
Right.
And so we have a, a suitcase ministry where we give suitcases to the kids and things of this nature.
Can we donate to that? I've got old suitcases I'd love to find a home for. Is there any place people can bring? I'm not saying to take every beat up suitcase in the world, but do you just take new ones and
Well,
unsold ones? Or?
Yeah, but of course, we'll take used ones and new ones. We don't want the ones that you're going to throw away because they're too old.
Right.
And then some people could say, well, I don't have a suitcase I want to give them, but I want to send $25 over so they can buy some suitcases for the kids, and so they can just make a donation and say this is for Be the Miracle or things of this nature.
I got a dozen suitcases through the years. We've changed suitcases. We bought them. We were out on a trip, and we needed an extra bag to come home, an extra backpack or something. And then we get home, and we just stick it up in the thing. And I seem to have half a dozen, 6 or 8 of the 10 of these things that we've accumulated through the years that aren't beat up. They're either never used or not new anymore here.
Yeah. Well, that would be a nice gift to some young person. So if they want to donate, they can just go to OLIVECREST.org, and that's our address. They'll find our office in Santa Ana, bring them over, and it'd be a wonderful gift.
Well, I'll definitely do that, because I've been trying to clean out my garage and trying to figure out what do I do with all these suitcases. And I always thought, I know the need. These kids have nothing to collect, nothing that's theirs, and nothing to collect. So what is a girl like walk through the first 24 hours? So Angie gets taken in immediately. She's stunned. Mom, what do you mean I'm not your daughter? And Mom walks away, and she's like, And then where does she go? Where they immediately take her to an emergency shelter or something?
Yeah, to probably a county facility. Perhaps it might even be Orangewood, because Orangewood is sort of where you go there for the first week, 5 to 7 days, as sort of plan gets developed, which is what do we do? Orangewood sends many kids into the OLIVECREST, the foster care system, whether that's to our group homes or to for us to try to find a foster family or temporary help for them, even a safe family for some period of time. So the county, because the government agency has intervened, then it's sort of a government situation, right? It's part of the county system.
And I've never been to Orangewood, but I'm told it's very overloaded. I mean, whatever it was built for, it's bulging at the seams here, because they literally have beds. It's like a dormitory. It's where they bring these kids in and plop them down.
And it's okay, it's better than going nowhere, but it's not like the warmest, the fuzziest, the most welcoming of places.
It's a dormitory,
it's a dormitory, and it's your typical, maybe what would you call it, government white paint or something. I don't know. It's
a cot in a place and a roof over your head. It's like temporary shelter. It's like a homeless shelter. It's like not much. And I'm sure they try and be nice and caring and everything. I don't have anything bad to say about Orangewood other than they're overburdened and overwhelmed.
Yeah, and we're thankful for that step along the way where the county and Orangewood come together, and then Orangewood facilitates them going to the next place. So it's great that it's there. It's not the long-term solution, but it is one that it's kind of like first aid, right? Temporary aid given at first until the doctor arrives.
Hey, can you imagine being a kid and your mother says, "I don't recognize you"? I mean, you cry, you anger, the shock, the everything here. I mean, that's major psychological trauma right there, thrust upon somebody. But you don't have time to cry and do too much.
What is the process of, let's say I have a bunch of high schoolers who want to be involved. Is it a one-off event that they do in making backpacks, or is it a recurring process that they can do on a regular basis? Like, how do you plug in volunteers?
Yeah, and so there's so many things that they can do. For example, some of the kids might say, okay, we want to be part of the birthday celebration team, right? Because who's going to make the cake for the kids that have the birthday? So we have a whole community engagement office and department, and on our website, again, it's volunteer opportunities are there, olivecrest.org. But it's as much or as little. Some want to do a one-off. Some say, hey, every we're going to take the month of July, and every July, whose ever birthdays there are, we're going to get a present. You tell us the age and everything and whatever and so forth. You know, you think about birthday presents, you know, some of these kids, I mean, they have no toys, they don't have anything. And so so many basic
most of them
things that
probably
we
have no
do.
toys and know anything. When we adopted our daughter, the very first Christmas,
Yeah.
we asked her. She's whatever she was now. She's like 11 or 12 or something, and we asked her, "What do you want for Christmas?" And she looked very sheepishly, like we'd maybe hit her or something. And she said, "Could I maybe have 2 toys?" You know, so that was mind-boggling. 2, and I'm like, I think we gave her 200 that year or something. All the relatives and everything, but you know, just those heartbreaking, like 2 toys. That's as big as you can think. 2 toys. You've never seen 2 toys in your whole life.
Yeah.
What about
So we just got to pray for these kids, you know, and the families, that the Lord sends the right people, and that they can have the forever families that we all hope and dream about.
We got to pray that more people step up and help out, and because otherwise it's a huge problem that I suspect is only getting worse. Has COVID changed any of it? Has COVID increased it? People even more under stress, even more likely to just abandon children or beat them up or whatever?
Yeah, so during COVID, of course, one of the challenges, and you mentioned it earlier, the teachers who get to see the indications of abuse. So when
Right.
they're at home, there was no teacher, there was no
Oh, yeah.
someone who could see them. Now that COVID is over, they're going back to school. The anticipation is, you know, a dramatic rise in the number of abuse cases being reported, because the identifier people, usually again teachers or like that, are there, and the kids are now out, you know, outside, so someone can see them and see that something's not right, and then ask the question. So we're anticipating, and we will see an uptick in the number of cases of abuse and neglect, and of course the stressors that it created, the financial stresses
Yeah.
and so forth, and everybody cooped up in the house and not understanding how to deal with their feelings in a normal way, and then taking it out on somebody else. And so, you know, the neglect and emotional abuse is prevalent as, you know, some of the other worst cases of abuse that we always think
How
about.
do you feel about, and this is the difficult question. I don't know how to answer this myself. Should more effort be meant to support these families and reunite them, or should we intervene quicker and get these kids out of there, or both? I don't know, because on one hand we get them out, then we got nowhere to take them. But on the other hand, you know, if you leave them there, often these things don't get better.
Yeah. Well, you know, the intervention is necessary, and then the evaluation determining, you know, can these parents, would they be willing to go through the counseling that's necessary? I mean, we have parenting classes, we have counseling programs for the parents as much as for the children. And so, you know, every situation is different, depends upon the degrees of neglect, depends upon what the parents' willpower is to do, understanding that they made a mistake, wanting to get the help that they need. I mean, we believe that the best situation is a strong family, and that if we can keep them together, again, if it's a terrible, horrific situation, we can't. But
Sure.
to the extent that there's the potential to reunite the biological parents with the birth child, is the ideal scenario. But we're not going to be naive enough to say, okay, we can do that with everyone. So there's extensive, you know, programming and things of that nature that go on behind the scenes in trying to determine, is this going to be a situation that we can rehabilitate and help them turn their lives around and get back together and be a strong family and keep the kids safe.
I love your program. I've never heard of such a thing, really a temporary respite. You know, they do this with other, this is a strange analogy, but with seniors, you know, people with Alzheimer's and stuff, and you're home taking care of your aging parent, and you just get overwhelmed and you need a weekend off, or you need a week away, or with children with severe disabilities, and some places there you can take the kids and get a respite. Or you're saying not just a respite, I got a problem, I'm going to jail, I'm ill, something's happened, I've lost my job and I'm out on the street. So can somebody take this child for a while, not just to relieve me and to give them a respite, but then to support the parent? Okay, how are you going to get back on your feet again? How are you going to regain this? How are you going to redo this? That seems to me powerful first step. I don't know that exists does that exist on a county level, or is that just a private program that you do?
Well, it's a private program we do, but we do it throughout Orange County, LA County, San Diego County, Riverside County, San Bernardino County, Palm Springs, Las Vegas, and also Seattle, Pacific Northwest.
And how do you pay for all this? That's the other question. I'd be remiss. That's a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of hours. Who pays for all this stuff?
The Safe Families program is 100% supported by donations and individuals, companies, foundations, generous donors that support. It's not a county government program. It's one that was started in Chicago, and they wanted to bring it to California, and we became their partner on the ground. And but it's 100% funded by contributions, philanthropic individuals that participate in this. So we raise. Well, in Orange County, we try to raise close to $1 million a year to run that program.
$1 million a year.
But part of our church training, our church outreach. I mean, it's 400 church partners, and so we've got a team of trainers and counselors and evaluators and intercessors and prayer warriors and everything. It's just so great, to see people just stepping forward and the parents, the Safe Families, they don't get any money out of this. And the whole thing is totally voluntary.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do we get more Safe Families? How do we get more money in your hands here? How do we make you stronger at this thing here?
Well, the easiest way, as I indicated earlier, it's olivecrest.org. The information on how to donate, whether that's a one-time gift, a monthly gift, is on there. Information about volunteer opportunities, how they can help kids. Information about Safe Families is on there. People can ask at their church, hey, do we have a Safe Families program here? Are we connected with OLIVECREST?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, and the church is interested, then have them contact us, and we will come and have a discussion about what the church's desires and goals and how they'd like to do more in this ministry area, and how we can come alongside and help them serve the widows and the orphans.
Fantastic.
I want to get Tongue Out involved. Our nonprofit. We have lots of students who would love the opportunity to do these birthday events and things of that sort for the kids.
Because these kids, like Angie's case, I mean, at some point she's cut off not only just from her family, her mother, but everybody she ever knew is probably, now they try and reach out to aunts and cousins and other things, say, is anybody else willing to take her and everything, but a lot of the cases, there's nobody. There is nobody. There's no friends. There's no nothing. And so all of a sudden for them to have not just a family and a home, but to have a mentor, to have a relationship with other young people, they grow up on their own.
Yeah, it's a hard situation. Unfortunately, a family came forward and took her in, and we see the mom. Actually, the mom has adopted 2 or 3. She loved OLIVECREST so much she applied for a job, and she's working here now in the program here, and it's just such a blessing. And so she now has a new forever family, and let's just hope that she continues.
The other thing I would caution,
we have
I was just going to say, I'd caution Dr. Trin, though, that these kids, the kids who enter in the program, they got to get some training, though, too, because they got to understand what they're walking into. These kids have been through something they can't. As they told us when we went through, these kids are emotionally little kids. Generally they're frozen wherever they went into the system, 8, 9, 10, 12. That's still kind of emotionally where they're at. But life experience, they're 30. They've seen stuff these kids can't imagine. So on one hand, they're very street smart and very adaptive. On another thing, they're very emotionally fragile, and so on the outside they're very hardened, and the inside they're scared and soft. So you do have to kind of get some training, I would think, or preparation for what you're walking into.
Oh, definitely. Wow. I see a pathway here of getting involved locally with our organization and OLIVECREST, and because we have traveled internationally to take care of orphans, but they're right here at home.
They're right home.
Right here at home.
Well, I think that's the message here. They're right here amongst us, and we don't even see them because they live in the shadows, and we somehow think, well, that's somehow taking. We don't think about them. I think that's one of the things, hopefully this show and others like that. Do you do an outreach? I don't see billboards on the freeway and other sorts of things. Is it hard making people aware of the situation when there's so many situations, homelessness and a million problems? I get it. Is it hard to get the message out about this needy population?
Well, it's we do get it out, but it's kind of like unless an individual sort of had a paradigm shift and their sensors has gone up, you can drive, even if a billboard, you can drive past it all the time and never see it, and then
Right.
the Pygmalion effect takes place. Someone has exposed you to this problem, and now everywhere you look, you see opportunity. So, there's a subconsciousness that needs to be awakened, and then people, and the Lord has a way of putting burdens and opportunities on people's hearts, and when the Lord speaks to you, that's the one person you don't want to say no to.
So I'll end with this. The purpose of the show is letters to God. Is anybody really out there? Is anybody really listening? How do you hear God talk back to you? Do you just send these one-way prayers, these one-way requests, and then sit back? I have struggled with that my whole life, even though I still go to church. I struggle to believe. I struggle to hear. I don't see God's plan in all this. I don't hear God giving me a direction very often. But this one process, if I ever point to something that shows the existence of God, it's what we went through with adopting this girl. The trust and the faith and the letting go was difficult to do. And only then did something happen. And then you start this journey and you're like, how can I do this? And you find a way, they find a way, the kids find a way, everybody finds a way. It is one of those journeys that we don't get very often, where you have to totally just trust and totally just go with it.
Well, God guides and God provides.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Not always sure I see that, but in this case, yes, it certainly did in our case here. All right, give us the organization one more time, and we'll take you out, and then Dr. Trin's going to take us out here. Give us the organization one more time for those who still haven't written it down.
OLIVECREST.org.
OLIVECREST.
OLIVECREST.
All right.
OLIVECREST.org. OLIVECREST.org.
And you're where in Santa Ana if they want to bring over those?
Headquartered in Santa Ana, right off the 55 and 4th Street.
I'm going to come over and bring you some backpacks if you're interested here. I'll drop them off.
Okay, well, make sure you tell me before you come. I want to make sure to say hello and give you a high five.
I will do that. I definitely will. I've long thought we shouldn't just throw these away. They're perfectly good backpacks and stuff here.
I love it. Yes, and by the way, Paul, I didn't tell you. I met Steve through. I put my son at the time. I think he was either in junior high or high school. It was a summer entrepreneurship camp. And they put him in a team, and they created created business plans and all that.
There you go.
This was the summer camp I ran called the Teen Entrepreneur Academy and the Kid Entrepreneur Academy.
Yes,
there you go.
Yes, I loved it. Thank you so much. That was Jonathan Trin when he was in there. He's now graduating tomorrow from Officer Training School, Marine Corps.
How about
as
that?
a lieutenant. So we're flying out to Virginia, Quantico tomorrow for his.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So
Congratulations. Absolutely. Well deserved. Well, all amazing stories. I hope you, Doctor, can we have him come back sometime? Bring some kids with you if they're willing to tell their story, or parents, either one, to tell their real story. You told the need.
Yes.
You gave us the overview. I'd love to hear from the real parents and the real kids. What did they go through? What's it like? What's out there? Tell us their story in their own words.
Oh, absolutely. We'd love to be able to do that, and we'll get a future date. We'll do it.
Okay, good.
We'll do it.
All right.
Thank you.
Take
God
us
bless,
out.
guys.
All right. God bless.
God bless.
Well, there you have it. If that doesn't move your heart, few things will. It's an amazing example of how when you send letters, somebody's really listening. Somebody really reads them and responds. Hope you'll join us and respond back with us each and every week as we struggle to find, is there anybody out there? Is anybody reading our letters to God?